Hello everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome back if you're a subscriber. Today I'm going to be making two different cards with two different designs from the Spellbinders card kit of the month for February 2022 called Always Remember. There's quite a bit in this kit and I've made several cards already, so if you're interested in seeing what's in that or if you're interested in buying it, I do have a link in the description below. If you would like to check that out, go ahead and click that. Both of my cards today are going to be shaker cards. Now, I am going to do the shaker card in two different ways in this video, just to show you the two different ways that I like to make shaker cards. I also like using a different method, but maybe that will come in another video. But since this card kit had the chipboard frames, I thought that I would go ahead and show you the two ways that I like to use the chipboard frames. So I just set it down, but that chipboard frame, I glued a piece of acetate directly to it and then put 3 layers of foam on the back. Then I cut out a piece of white scrap that's going to be the background of my shaker. And I did want to just show you that I did decorate the inside. It matches the little bouquet there. And with my shaker, I wanted it to be kind of the focus of the card. So I wanted to add in these little hearts and these little flowers from the card kit to kind of decorate the background, because when you aren't shaking the card, it would just have a plain white background. Now you can stamp inside of the shaker, which I showed in another video from this month's card kit, but you can also do this, which all you have to do is glue some ephemera or sequins or little die cut pieces directly to the back. So even when you're not shaking the card, it looks like there's something going on in the window. Kind of gives it a little life. And I'm just pressing these down pretty good, just so it really sticks and it's not going to fly off inside. And so none of the sequins stick to the liquid glue that I'm using. Next, what I'm going to do is stick all of the inside of my shaker card just to the back of my element here. And I'm going to take liquid glue and glue around the edge of the foam tape. And with this, it will really stick to that background white piece. Now, with this method, you do have to wait to shake it for a little while just so that liquid glue dries. So you'll see here I'm going to put it off to the side. Now, as I'm gluing this, I do want to mention you don't have to use acetate sheets from, like a card store or a craft store. You could recycle and you could use any plastic. I do have a little stash that I keep of some plastic, whether it be packaging or anything really that's clear that you could use as a window. You can just keep it and cut it down to size of whatever the window is, and you can use it. So here, now I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to put a bigger stamp block on top of it just to give it some pressure. And I'm going to work on card number 2 as that dries. With card number 2, it will also be a shaker card. And I'm going to add a stamped element inside my window. You can see I left myself a little note there of which one I wanted to use. I really did like the stamp set from this kit this month because it had so many sentiments in it. And I wanted to use this one, I Miss Your Smile, because I have not used it yet on any of my cards. Now I'm going to stamp that sentiment directly onto, this is actually a scrap piece of pattern paper from the kit that I used on a different card and just set aside, and since all of the elements of the kit go well together, I figured I'd use it in this card, and it does kind of complement that butterfly. Don't mind the washi tape on the ephemera. Alright, now I'm going to stamp this sentiment. Again, I'm using the Archival Ink. It works for me. I'm going to stamp this sentiment, I miss your smile, right onto the pattern paper. And I do typically use my Misti when I am stamping, but I just felt like using a stamp block today. And since it was a scrap piece of paper, I just kind of told myself, well, if it doesn't work, then I'm just going to use a different one. And I do have my Lawn Fawn chamois, I think they're called chamois, just to clean off my stamp. And since it turned out okay, I don't have to restamp, which is great because I cannot do that with block stamping at all. I did prepare for this card by putting on the foam on the frame here and the acetate before making this video. So I'm just going to peel off the release paper on here, and with this card I'm not going to use any liquid glue because I just want to show you another way of doing it, which is just directly adhering that foam right to the paper. And as I take these off, I have a moment of, I don't know, memory loss, if you will, and I almost stick it right on before I put anything in. So I'm going to just reach for my sequins before I continue and set them right onto the background. I love how the light catches them and they just glow kind of a pinky green holographic color. So I'll just kind of center them in the middle, however, and directly put that frame right on the paper. And immediately the shaker is ready to go. Now, I wouldn't do this method all the time just because sometimes the sequins can stick to that foam, but since it was like a straight foam frame, I tend to use this method more than the other method that I showed before with the wet glue, because with the curved frames, the foam tends to bend more and there's more areas where the foam it doesn't overlap perfectly, so then it has a little bit of sticking out, so then those sequins will stick. So it's just what works for me. And now I have decided to put the flowers right onto the frame, so this will have quite a bit of dimension on this card. And it looks like a lot of glue, but that precision tip is very thin, so I'm just trying to spread it everywhere. And with all of these ephemera pieces, I will stick them right on and make sure I can still see my sentiment there, and kind of gently arrange it how I would like on to my frame. Then I will take the washi tape off of the ephemera pieces. I do enjoy making shaker cards because whenever I have given them as a gift, if you will, or as a card, I do see pretty big smiles from the recipients because the shaker card is interactive, which is really neat. And it's not just pretty, you can do something with it. Looks like I'll have to add a little bit more glue to that leaf that just came right off with the washi tape, but not to worry. And just stick it right back where it belongs. And a little more glue. Don't want anything to fall off with vigorous shaking. There we go. I like that the art glitter glue dries clear. I'd be in trouble if it did not. And I did want to leave a white background for that pattern paper just because the flowers and the ephemera have a white background. So I thought it would look well or go well together. And now I don't want my flowers and leaves just hanging off of my frame. So I'm going to take some of my foam tape here and triple layer it up so it is the same height as my frame and cut it to size. Now, not every piece will be supported, but hopefully it'll be fine. For tasks like this, I do like using that big roll of foam tape here that I purchased on Amazon, just because I think it is 1/4 of an inch and it's just quick. It really comes right off. The release paper comes right off. Don't have to deal with any little squares or puzzle piece things together. So I do reach for that in cases like this one. I'm just checking the height and add just a little more. And I will add a few more supports to some of the bigger pieces of flower to the edge, just so it doesn't sag down. Although it probably would look okay if it did, because flowers and leaves are organic and they move. But at least these ones will be supported. Kind of getting lucky that none of this is going to show on the front and I haven't had to cut this foam that much yet. And just kind of wiggle it over so I don't have to trim it. That should do it. Yeah, one more. Just one. There we go. All right, now that I've made this giant piece, I'm going to let the foam tape do its job and stick it right on. Usually I reach for that liquid glue to stick everything on, but I think it'll be fine. That it's pretty sticky. Next, with my butterfly, I am going to bend it in half like I usually do and put some glue, liquid glue, in the middle, kind of where the body is, and put it on my frame. And I don't add any more foam behind the wings just because this card is already 3 foam high, which is very thick. And I will add sequins as usual. It's amazing how you can make all these cards, and I almost add sequins to almost every card and I still end up with a good amount at the end of my, I always say the end, but it's not quite always the end of my card making for the kit. And that will complete the second card, which is kind of like the first card for the video. I like the way that one turned out. I'll give it a little shake so you can see those are moving. Alright, now back to the first card. My glue is all the way dry. And I have used some of the pattern paper and already adhered it to the back of the card. This video is already pretty long and I'm only doing 2 cards, so I figured I'd speed things up there. And I'm choosing an ephemera piece of the bouquet of flowers and a chipboard sentiment that says you will always be unforgettable, which is really sweet. Just trying to remember how I wanted things positioned. Kind of playing around with things. Sometimes I have a plan, and then when I go to actually make it, it kind of changed my mind. Things weren't really looking right to me, and I thought maybe I will bring in some of the gold mirrored cardstock here just to kind of give it something to land on, if you will. And since the chipboard frame is an oval, I'm going to use an oval die, and I'm just trying to find the right size one here of which one would work. I think that would be a good one. So I'm going to just use this piece of gold mirrored cardstock and run it through my die cutting machine. I won't be showing that on camera since I do have an attachment on it that makes it electric, and it's situated just so on my desk that I'm not lifting that up and moving it around. It'd be quite a mess. I'm just using some of this purple craft tape just to hold that frame in place as I run it through the machine. I do like using my die cut motored machine because it just makes it that much easier, and I don't have to move my machine if I want to use it. I can just press a button that goes back and forth instead of using a giant machine that moves around and I have to put on my work surface and maybe squish something. No thank you. So that lives on the left side of my desk and I don't move it. And I do like the oval, so it's making its way onto the card. And now I think, well, sideways? No. I did really like this little bouquet of flowers. I kind of wish that it was just a little smaller so it could fit inside of the frames that came in the kit. I tried doing that 2 or 3 times and I kept picking it up and thinking, oh, maybe that will fit in there, but it never did because it does not fit, but that's fine. And some more floral paper. Does it work? Does it not work? Just trying to see things. I do think I will add it. So I'm going to just mark it with my pencil since I already have the white pattern paper with the leaves on there, and just trim this little strip with my paper cutter. I don't love this paper cutter, but it works for some things. Probably will start using my smaller one from Tim Holtz pretty soon. It's just too big. And it doesn't cut very straight, so I don't like that. But here we are, using it. Alright, now I'm going to use my tape runner and put that on my card. Found that if I put the tape or the glue dots on slowly with the tape runner, they come off of the release paper a lot nicer, so I'm trying to go slower with my dot runner. And I'll pull in some liquid glue here again, which I love using, and use it on the gold mirror cardstock and put that kind of in the center. Give it a good press. There we go. And now I will put a little bit of glue on the back of my shaker element. And now I try to kind of figure out a placement for the bouquet and with the shaker. And I end up not putting it on the front. Shocking. I know. It didn't look right to me. So I just thought, it's going to go somewhere else. But the sentiment is definitely going to go on here. So I'm going to put some more liquid glue on and put that right onto the shaker element. It kind of will lay off the edge. There we go. Kind of gently press it down so it doesn't slide or anything. And I think, well, maybe it could go in. No, there's just not room for it, which is fine. I already have one in the inside. I'm just going with it. Maybe it'll make its way on another card. Next, I'm going to go in with more sequins and add it to the outside edge, just to kind of pull it all together. I do notice a lot of bubbles in the art glitter glue, but it doesn't really impact the way it works, so I don't mind. I think it's kind of cute. A little bubble here and there. Reminds me of doing the dishes with bubbles. I thought about using the gold sequins from an old kit on this card, but then I figured I'd just stick with the kit. I've been trying to do that more recently with my cards, of just using what's in this kit with the cards. Just so you can really see what's in the kit and how you can use what you have in the kit to make really beautiful cards. So there is my finished card. And here are the two cards that I made today. Both of them shaker cards with lots of sequins. There's the first one, which is kind of the second one, but the first one anyway. We'll call them the same. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. And if you would like to come back for part 5, I'll be here. Bye.